Bruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Yud Aleph Amud Beis. Starting with Daf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph, 3 lines from the bottom. The Masechta opened up with Or La'arbosar, teaching us there's a chiyuv to make a bedikas chametz on the night of the 14th of Nisan. If a person was not able to make the bedikas chametz then, some sort of oinus happened, then he must make a bedikas chametz on the morning of Yud Daled. If he still did not make a bedikas chametz in the morning of Yud Daled, he is to make a bedikas chametz b'shas biur, in the beginning of the 6th hour. What happens if he still did not make a bedikas chametz then? It's a machlokes. The Chacham said he can still make a bedika even though it's the b'shas isur, whereas Rabbi Yehuda said once there's shas isur, we do not allow him to make a bedikas chametz, because since a person is what's called loy bodil from chametz, he's so accustomed to eating chametz throughout the year that when he makes the bedika and he finds perhaps chametz, he may come to eat that chametz b'shas isur. So therefore, Rabbi Yehuda says he does not make a bedika. But, however, the Gemara speaks out that if indeed it was some other scenario, in a scenario where he was bodil, because he's not accustomed to it, so normally he would then say separate from that thing, and he would not transgress easily, then you don't have to make a gzeir according to Rabbi Yehuda. It's only over here, in the case of chametz, where he's not bodil, that we have to make a gzeir and say he cannot make bedikas chametz. Ask the Gemara, they call heicha de bodil mina, lo gozer Rabbi Yehuda. In all the scenarios where a person is yes bodil, are you going to say that Rabbi Yehuda does not require to make a gezerah? Ask the Gemara, v'hatanya, really it's a Mishnah in Masechet Becharos. Here, in talking about a Bechar is the firstborn of, let's say, the sheep that the Bar Yisrael has to give to a Kohen. It's a Kadosh from the time of its birth, the Bechar, and then it's given to the Kohen to be brought on the Mizbech as a Korban Bechar. If the animal that was given to the Kohen develops what's called a mum kavua, then it belongs to the Kohen. He can go ahead and shech the animal and partake in the animal without bringing it as a carbon. So the Mishnah states like this: Bechor she'achzu dam afilu humes. If there's a bechor animal that developed a blood clot, even on the verge of its death, ein mekizin loy dam. Diva Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says you still do not bloodlet from the animal to alleviate this blood clot, because Rabbi Yehuda is concerned that if we allow the Kohen to do so, he might make the cut to cut out the area that needs to then bring out the blood in the artery that he wants to develop a bloodlet. He might do that as a mum kavua. And therefore, Rabbi Yehuda does make a gzeira over here. It's kachim. And kachim, a person is bodil. So the Mishnah goes on to say, v'chacham yakis. He could go ahead and be bloodlet in order to then prevent the animal from dying. Ubilvad shelo yatil boy mum, providing that he does not make a mum kavua. So here we have in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda does make a gezeira. He is concerned that the Kohen will make a mum kavua, even though it's kachim and a person is bodil. Answers the Gemara, Hasam mitoy she'odam bohul al mamoinoi, Amrinon isharis le b'mokom she'ein oisim boy mum, osi le ma'abed b'mokom she'oisim boy mum. We're on top of Yud Aleph Amud Beis. Here the Gemara makes a distinction and says that in the scenario where a person is bohul, in this case the Kohen is bohul al mamoinoi, that means he's in a state of panic because he doesn't want to lose. Here you have this big ox as a bechor, and if it becomes a nevela because it dies, then he's out a lot of monetary benefit. So we say that if we let him to make a bloodlet, Rabbi Yehuda's svara is he may make a mum kavua. So therefore we don't let him do that. Says the Gemara of Rabbanon. On the other hand, the Rabban who argue Rabbi Yehuda, who do allow, they hold kol shekain di lo sharis le klal asli ma'abed. Since a Kohen is bohul al mamoinoi, if we do not allow him to make a bloodlet in a place that is mutter, so then he will then make a bloodlet in a place that's osir. In other words, he'll say, anyways, it's osir, and he's so bol on mamoin, he doesn't want to lose this ox, so he then makes a bloodlet, and he makes a bloodlet on even a place that's mum kavua. So therefore, the Chum say he can make a bloodlet from the animal to alleviate from its blood clot, but he has to be careful to do so in a place that will not develop a mum kavua. Says the Gemara, Umi Amrina Rabbi Yehuda Adam Bohul al Mamoino. Ask the Gemara, who says that Rabbi Yehuda indeed holds that a man, in this case a kohen, is panicky because of his monetary situation. Vehatnan, behold, it states in the following Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda Oimer, Ein Mekadrin habehema biyamtif, Mneshu oise chabura, avam makartzefin. Rabbi Yehuda says that we do not allow a person to comb out on a behema, on an animal on Yantif, using an iron comb, but we allow them to use a wooden comb. V'chachamim oimrim ein mekadrin, af ein mekartzefin. Whereas the chachamim say we don't allow him not only to use an iron comb, but we also do not let him comb out the animal's hair from all of that sticky mud and dirt that was matted on the animal, and to alleviate him from his pain, we don't even allow him to do that with a wooden comb. So here we see that Rabbi Yehuda himself is not bol ma mamoinoi, because he says you're allowed to go ahead and use a wooden comb, and therefore you're not concerned that you might come to go ahead and then use a iron comb. V'tanya, and the Brisa develops and explains what is the distinction. Ezu kidur ve'ezu kirtzuf. What is considered to be kidur, combing with the iron comb, and what is considered to be combing with a wooden comb. Kidur is kitanim va'oisim chabura. Kidur is using an iron comb with small types of teeth, which makes it very sharp, causing a chabura on the animal, which is an iser diaraisa, one of the malachos on Shabbos and on Yom Tif. Kirtzuf, the combing with a wooden comb, gedoilim ve'ein oisin chabura, it's with big teeth, and therefore it's going to be something that is not going to be as sharp, whereby it will not cause a chabura. So here we have that Rabbi Yehuda seems to imply that you're not bol amal moinoi. Answers the Gemara, no, hasam the ishavik lei mais. The difference is that in the case of the Bechor, if he leaves the Bechor who has a blood clot, then if he leaves it, then he will die. Therefore, Rabbi Yehuda says that's considered to be bol amamoinoi. Then we have to make a gezerah and say if the Kohen is allowed to bloodlet, then he may make a mum kavua. But over here, that's not the case. Over here, Amrina Adam Bol al Mamoino Yehocha Ishavik Leitzara Baalmahu Lo Amrina Adam Bol al Mamoino. In the case over here, when we allow him to comb out the hair, here it's a matter of just alleviating some tsar from the animal, some pain from the animal. Therefore, the owner is not Bol al Mamoino, and we allow him to comb it out with a wooden comb, which will not cause a chabura. Ask the Gemara of Rabbi Yehuda, Maishna Gabe Chametz the Gozar, Umayshna Gabe Kirtzuf the Loy Gozar. Why is it that Rabbi Yehuda does make a gezerah when it comes to chametz, and he says you cannot check for chametz after Shas Iser, yet he does make a gezerah when it comes to kirtzuf? Kirtzuf, that he does make a gezerah. He says kirtzuf. Kirtzuf, he does not make a gezerah. He says you can comb with a wooden comb. Why doesn't he make the gzera there and say we're concerned that you might come to use an iron comb and then make a chabura? Answers the Gemara, lechem belechem michalaf. That means when it comes to bread, that's something that a person doesn't make a distinction with. And therefore, in that situation, he'll come to go ahead and eat the bread that he's making, the bikas chametz, and finding the bread, he might come to eat it on the Shas Iser. But kidur bekartzuf loy michalaf. When it comes to then the type of combs that he uses, the comb of a wooden comb, which we've described as being something that has larger types of teeth, that's much different than a iron comb that has sharp teeth. and therefore he's not going to make a mistake if he uses a comb made out of wood that is made out of bigger type of teeth. The Gemara now brings the following Mishnah in regards to the Shas HaIser. Says the Gemara, now we know when it comes to the Araisa that Chametz is also after Chatzois. And that means to say that a person has to then get rid, he has an chiyuv to mevar the Chametz midi Araisa after Chatzois of Yudalid during the day. Says the Mishnah, Rabbi Meir Oimer Oichlin Kol Chamesh. You can continue to eat your Chametz the entire 5th hour. V'sorfim b'tchila sheish. And you have to burn your Chametz at the beginning of the 6th hour. In other words, he's makdim 1 hour from Midi Araisa. Midi Araisa, we say, is time in Chatzois. He has to get rid of and destroy the Chametz. And that means he can really technically eat Chametz until then. Midi Rabbanon, he can only eat in the 5th hour, and he must destroy the Chametz in the beginning of the 6th hour, according to Rabbi Yehuda. Sorry, according to Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda is cholik. And he says even more. Oichlin kol arba. You can eat Chametz the entire 4th hour. That means he's makdim 2 hours. V'toilin kol chamesh. And you can go ahead, you cannot eat it during the 5th hour, but you can go ahead and have hana from it. So it's called toilin. It's not that you have to mevar it, but you also cannot eat it. So it's in the middle, where you can go have hana, you can go have and sell it to a goy, or give it to your animal for food. V'sorfin betchilas sheish. And you have to burn it in the beginning of the 6th hour. So they both agree that the burning is the hour before the deraisa, which is the beginning of the 6th hour. But they argue until when can you continue eating the chametz. According to the first opinion, Rabbi Meir, it's the entire 5th hour. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the entire 4th hour. Ve'oid Rabbi Yehuda goes on to say, Shtei chalois shel toida psulois munachas al gav or al gag ha'itztaba. There are, he says, 2 chalois of the korban toida that was brought. People bring their korban toidas on the 13th. It's able to be brought during the day and eaten during the day and eaten at night. It could not be brought after that because then it would be an Isser of Chametz. So therefore, that which would become already possible during the day of the 14th. So 2 chalos are put on the gag of the Itztaba and the Beis HaMikdash. And therefore people can see, Kozman Shemu Nakas, so long as it's on the gag of the Itztaba, Kol Ha'am Oichlin, everybody can still eat. Noitlin Achas, when you take one of the 2 chalos, one of the 2 loaves of the korban toida off the gag, then toilin, then people know that they can no longer eat, but they can only have hana from the chametz. Loy oichlin v'loy sarfin, they don't have to burn it, but they also cannot eat it. Nitlu shteihem, but when both chalos of the korban toida are taken off the gag of the itztaba, hitchilu kol ha'am sarfin, then everybody must begin burning their chametz. The Mishnah concludes with a 3rd opinion, Rabbi Gamliel, Oimer, chulin necholin kol arba. He makes a distinction between chulin and truma. He says chulin can be eaten the entire 4th hour. That means he goes like Rabbi Yehuda in regards to regular chulin, regular chametz. However, he says v'truma kol chamesh. By truma, it has an additional hour. You can eat the entire 5th hour. V'sorfim b'tchila sheish, and you have to then burn your chametz, like both Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda said, in the beginning of the 6th hour. The Gemara brings a Mishnah from Masechet Sanhedrin, and it's going to use this Mishnah to ask a question on our Mishnah. Let's see the Mishnah. Tanan Hasam, it states over there in regards to Eidus, giving Eidus, where they would check the Eidim with Chakiros to determine that the Eidim have the same exact information that are going to be a valid Eidus. Tanan Hasam, it states over there, Echad Oimer Bishnayim B'chodesh, one aid testifies that the occurrence took place on the 2nd of the month. Ve'echad Oimer B'shloisha, and the other aid says on the 3rd of the month. Now they both say that it happened on Yom Revi, but one aid says on the 2nd of the month, and the other one says on the 3rd of the month. So we say the din is Eidusun Kayemes. their edus is valid because we are assuming that one of them made a mistake. He did not know that the previous month was a chodesh ibur. That means to say that it was a full month, a 30-day month. Says the Mishnah, Shezeh yodea bi'iburoi shel chodesh, v'zeh eino yodea bi'iburoi shel chodesh. One of them knew that it was a full month. The month before was a 30-day month, whereas the other one did not know. He thought it was a 29-day month. So he said it was the third day of the succeeding month, but indeed it was the second of the month. So therefore, that's a valid mistake. Tilbai, the edus is still valid. The Mishnah goes on to say another scenario. Echad oimer b'shloisha, ve'echad oimer behei. One said it was the third of the month, while the other one said it's the fifth of the month. Over here, edusim betela, because over here we say that when it comes to making a mistake for 2 months and saying that both months he did not know that it was a full month, on that we say a person does not make such a mistake, and therefore the edus is invalid, is bottled. The Mishnah continues, Echad oimer b'shtei sho'os ve'echad oimer b'shalosh sho'os. One aid says it happened on the second hour of the day, whereas the other aid testified it happened on the third hour of the day. The Mishnah says, Edusun kayemes, it's a valid edus, because after all, a person can make a mistake, whether it was the second hour, the third hour, a mistake of 1 hour. Echad oimer, the Mishnah continues, b'shalosh ve'echad oimer b'chamesh. One said that the incident took place on the third hour, while the other one said it took place on the fifth hour. Here, it states, Edusim betela dive Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir maintains that this edus is bottled. For them to make a mistake of 2 hours, that's already something that's not going to be valid. Whereas Rabbi Yehuda Oimer, Edusim kayemes, Rabbi Yehuda argues, and he says it's still a valid edus, so long as within 2 hours it's valid. However, if those 2 hours were in the afternoon, that means to say one said in the morning, one said in the afternoon, one said before midday, and the other one said it's after midday, one said the fifth hour, and the other said the seventh hour, then Rabbi Yehuda Oimer, then Edus and Betela. Then the Edus, even called Rabbi Yehuda, is bottled. Shebechamesh chamo b'mizrach uvesheva chamo b'amariv. Because there, when a person looks in the sky, he'll be able to determine where the shade is going to be in the west. That means that the sun is shining in the east. That means it's still in the first part of the day, whereby a person can easily make a distinction between whether it's the fifth hour or the seventh hour. So therefore, if one aid testifies that the incident took place in the fifth hour, where the other one testifies it happened in the seventh hour, it's a clear mistake, making the edus invalid.